Welcome to Grand Prairie City Council meeting for Monday, October 17th, 2011. I'd ask everyone to join us and stand in Singing O Canada.
Organizational meeting first.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Have a seat. The Intergovernmental Services Director has reminded me that we have to have our organizational meeting. We can't be not organized before we actually start our regular City Council meeting, so thank you very much. So I would call to order the City of Grand Prairie organizational meeting for Monday, October 17th. And we have just a couple of agenda items, including, so we'll give everybody a chance to find their agenda packages. And this is a once yearly meeting where we set council's meeting agenda for the following year, as well as make appointments to the deputy mayor schedule and standing committees of council and council committees. And attached, council members will have the mayor's recommendations in a number of areas. And the first was recommendations for appointment of deputy mayor. And so if I could have a motion to approve those deputy mayor appointments as presented. Councillor Radburn, I see in the queue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move the council approve the mayor's recommendations for appointment of deputy mayor.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. So this continues our practice of a rotating deputy mayor schedule. We have alternated slightly the times that council members will serve their cycle as deputy mayor, and so it ensures that everybody has an opportunity to do that, but not always at the same time of the year. So, okay. So, discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Next, we have the mayor's recommendation for appointments to standing committees of council. And if I could have a motion to put those forward, Councillor Rice.
I move that council approve the mayor's recommendations for appointments to standing committees of council as was circulated this evening.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. There were some updates from the one that was distributed originally on Friday with the agenda package. These are for council's 5 standing committees: Community Development Committee, Environment Committee, General Government Services, Protective Services, and Public Works Committee. Any discussion or debate on those recommendations? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Next is recommendations for appointments to boards and committees. These are a number of council committees and external agencies and boards where council members serve on the committees. There were some changes, but the majority are the same. In contrast to the standing committee, where this term we've chosen to rotate council members a little bit so that everybody has experience in all the different service areas that council is involved in. So could I have a motion for the appointments to boards and committees? Councillor Crokin.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I would make that motion that we approve your recommendation for council committees.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. And then finally is the schedule of council and standing committee meetings, which was attached in our earlier package. This lays out the meetings and includes the motion that was passed previously by council to start our regular city council meetings at 6:30 as opposed to 7:30. It also includes the change to have committee meetings held on Mondays and Tuesdays, where in previous we had one committee that was on a Wednesday, one standing committee of council that was on a Wednesday, and includes other breaks for national holidays and other events. So could I have a motion for the schedule of council and standing committee meetings? Councillor Munro.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I'll move that, or make a motion that we accept the schedule of council and standing committee meetings as presented here tonight.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Munro. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. And I believe that was all items of business for our city council organizational meeting, so I'd call the meeting adjourned. And now, I will call to order the Grand Prairie City Council meeting for October 17th, 2011. And now I'll ask everybody if they'd like to stand and join me in singing O Canada. Thank you to the National Film Board of Canada for the images of our country, and thank you to our very own Grand Prairie Boys Choir for the musical rendition of the anthem. So we'd move on to the adoption of the previous council meeting minutes from October 3rd. Councillor Gustafson?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll move the council move the minutes of the council meeting held October 3rd, 2011 be adopted.
Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. Did anyone note any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. And look for a motion for the minutes of the special city council meeting held October 12th. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move council approve the minutes of the special city council meeting held October 12th, 2011 be adopted. And this was the meeting where we looked at the QP contract. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries, which brings us to the adoption of the agenda. Councillor Crokin?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move council adopt the agenda with the addition of agenda item number 9.6.1, the 102nd Street slide repair. That's under the 211 Road Rehabilitation Program, and 9.7.1, Policy 201, Recreation Fees and Charges 2012 to 2014, and 9.7.2, the Multiplex Membership Rates.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Okay, I'll call the question to adopt the agenda as presented with those additional items. Call for the vote. Thank you, and that motion carries, which would bring us to the delegation portion of our agenda. And tonight, doesn't look like we have anybody that's coming forward. I call again, is there anybody that'd like to come forward to address any council on any community matter? And it doesn't look like we're going to have anybody come forward tonight. So we'll move on to our public hearings, of which we have none, unfinished business, of which we have none, And that brings us to our reports section, and item 8.1, strategic priorities, October to December 2011. And I would maybe turn it over to our Intergovernmental Services Director to introduce this item.
Mr. Mayor, this is the strategic priorities chart, which council has reviewed and made adjustments to. It's presented for council approval. It has been updated to reflect the current priorities of council and the administrative departments. The one advocacy priority that has been removed from the chart is dealing with the Service Alberta fee increase, which this item has been now deferred by the province due to the efforts of both municipalities and the AUMA. And the item that has been added in terms of advocacy priorities, and that has been circulated this evening, is the Safe Community Innovation Fund. So this is presented for approval of council.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Ferguson. Could I have a motion that council approve the strategic priorities chart for the term of October to December 2011? Councillor Rice.
I move that council approve the strategic priorities chart from October 2011.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate? Questions or comments on the strategic priorities chart as presented? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. And on to item 8.2, bylaw C 962P to amend the procedure bylaw.
I should vote against this.
Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move council give 3 readings to bylaw C 9629 to amend the procedure. First one. To give bylaw C 962P to amend the procedure bylaw. Reading, recommend.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor McLean. So a motion for first reading. So there's no discussion or debate on first reading, so we'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries for first reading. So Councillor McLean, if you'd like to continue.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I give recommendation council give 3 readings to second reading. I'm on the 3 readings. Give council second reading to bylaw C 962P to amend the procedure bylaw to change the meeting time to 6:30.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. This process takes about 3 years to get used to anyways. So we'll call, so we have an opportunity for discussion and debate on second reading. Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote on second reading. Thank you. And that motion carries. So we could have a motion to have third reading here tonight. Yes. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I give recommend council have third reading tonight for bylaw C 962P.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. So a motion to have third reading here tonight at council. Any discussion or debate on the motion to have third reading? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries unanimously, so we can have third reading here tonight, Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Give motion council have a third reading on bylaw C 9629 2P for procedure bylaw change to council meeting start at 6:30.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Any discussion or debate on third reading? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. And that brings us on to committee business, and we'll start off with the Special Community Development Committee meeting. And Councillor Crokin, I believe you were the acting chair for that.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I move council receive the minutes of the Special Community Development Committee meeting held October 3rd, 2011.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. And this special committee meeting was to recommend forward to council approval of a lease agreement with Ready Set Dance at the multiplex. Any discussion or debate on the motion on that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. That brings us to Public Works Committee and Councillor Wong. I believe that was your committee.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I move that council receive the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting held October 4th, 2011.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Anyone note any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Wong?
I move that council approve a city staff free transit program for implementation in January 2012. And in speaking to that, Mayor Given, our administration, they investigated a program where all staff members of the city could use our transit service for free, thereby relieving the effort of having to drive their vehicle and using up valuable parking space at all city facilities. I believe in our report, the potential revenue lost based on people who were already taking the transit would be approximately $4,000. However, we valued, due to our parking spots, there was a value associated with that for powering them and just taking up that space that potential customers could use, or we could allow other people that utilize a certain area to have that parking space would far exceed that $4,000 in foregone revenue. I believe one parking stall is valued between $2,000 and $3,000 annually. Although those are very subjective and soft numbers, it's really difficult to put a hard number on that. But I think I like the concept of the idea that the City of Grand Prairie, as an employer, would invest in allowing their employees to use a greener and potentially more efficient means of transportation to get to and from work.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. So open for discussion and debate on the motion. I see Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. As Councillor Wong said about the concept of a good idea of maybe getting more people to use transit. However, transit isn't free. We noticed that with contracts with the bus drivers, and it's heavily subsidized by the city. And I think if we could have had a discount program instead of free, would have been better appropriate. So I'm against it.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Any other discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Wong, was there anything else that you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
Yes, at the same committee meeting, council reviewed a Public Works online demo for request for service, and that was the C-Click Fix system that was already released in all our media releases. It allows the public an opportunity to assist us with finding little trouble areas. The pilot project is just for transportation areas, so if you see a pothole or missing piece in a sidewalk or something like that that needs to be repaired, you can jump online to the City of Grand Prairie website, indicate where that trouble spot is, and someone from city administration will get back to you to let you know the status of that. There were a couple of statuses. One, that it was acknowledged as a problem, so you know that your issue has been seen by a city staff member, and then they would follow up on it, and once it's fixed, that resident would be notified. The other thing it allows residents to do is vote on how important they feel that problem is. So if there are some pretty major issues, people can jump online and start voting and raise the priority of that issue. The other things that were looked at that committee meeting was the Bear Creek Corridor Study, and that was a study that examined the entire Bear Creek corridor from the north side of town all the way down to, I believe, the Wapiti River. That's everything that affects the City of Grand Prairie, and it provided several recommendations that our staff will be able to use in the future to judge how stable the development or how they can plan around the stability of that corridor. The Bear Creek Reservoir feasibility study was also included in that meeting, and that gave recommendations on what the Bear Creek Reservoir could look like. There was nothing recommended in the way of budget, but I believe staff will look at that and try to provide us with some options in the future. And finally, the committee reviewed neighborhood entrance features and the standards around that, and all those reports were received for information.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. And that'll bring us on to the General Government Services Committee from October 5th, and Councillor Rice, I believe you were chairing that meeting for us.
I move that council receive the minutes of the General Government Services Committee meeting held October 5th, 2011.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Did anyone note any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Rice?
I move that council approve the appointment of RBC Dominion Securities as the successful candidate of RFP 19-211-11 for investment services.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you.
I move
The
that...
motion carries.
sorry.
Thanks, Councillor Rice, sorry.
I move that council approve the revision to purchasing policy 310, incorporating direction on the weighting factors appropriate for cost when issuing a request for proposals.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate on this motion? Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I think this is a very important one for purchasing policy. We had a incident popped up recently with bus drivers, and I'm hoping that there's a range here of 25 to 40%, no more than 40. But I'm hoping we're at the higher end for the better bang for a buck financially. So I just have to say on that policy. I think it's a good step forward, but I hope we're not at the lower end.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I will be supporting this motion as well. I appreciated, we're moving, I think our practice has been kind of 20 to 30. So we're moving the minimum and we're moving the maximum, and with Councillor McLean, hopefully that provides some flexibility where there is appropriate technical expertise. Then the administration has the flexibility to increase the cost percentage in terms of the rating. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any further discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Rice, was there anything else that you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
There isn't, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any questions for Councillor Rice? Seeing none, I believe that brings us to Protective Services Committee. Councillor Radburn, you're on and ready to go there.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move council receive the minutes of the Protective Services Committee meeting held October 11th, 2011.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Anyone note any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Radburn, anything else that you wanted to highlight?
If I could, Mayor Given, thank you. 3 or 4 items that were discussed at the meeting. First of all, we received a presentation from the firefighters with respect to a Dress for Cause, pink T-shirt, breast cancer fundraising initiative. We did look at the taxi industry again, and a few things came out. One was that we've, through policy, I guess, we have now established a transition period for those taxi licenses that who were on the books in 2010 have until the end of this year to renew their license, and then then we'll have a certain number, and then we will use attrition from that point on to get down to the cap. Also, we have asked administration to come back with 2 bylaw amendments, one with respect to taxi rate reporting and new license rates. And we've asked administration to come back with 2 taxi policies, one dealing with the minimum number of taxis in the fleet for taxi brokers, and another dealing with requirement that taxis more than 5 years old must successfully pass 2 mechanical inspections annually. So those 2 bylaw amendments and 2 policy will be coming to the next Protective Services Committee. And then depending upon what the wishes of committee, they'll come to council. And finally, we had a presentation earlier and a letter confirming the ask from the EMS Foundation, and that was $30,000 for a patient simulation unit, and we have referred that request of $30,000 to budget. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any questions for Councillor Radburn on that set of Protective Services Committee minutes? Seeing none, then I believe we already had the motion on that committee, and that would bring us on to, on to our Community Development Committee and Councillor Gustafson.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll move that council receive the minutes of the Community Development Committee meeting held October 11th, 2011.
Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. Any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Gustafson.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll move that council approve the reallocation of remaining funds, $76,577, from the playground service replacement account to the South Bear Creek renewal account for the completion of the BMX track.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Councillor Wong.
Was the remaining funds from a project that came in under budget, or is something not going to get done because of it?
Councillor Gustafson.
I believe it was just sand that wasn't used anymore in the project for the playgrounds in the park.
Okay. And Director of Community Services, Gary, do you have something to add?
Certainly, that's correct. It was a project that came in under budget, and we're just requesting to reallocate it to finish another project.
Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Thank you for the clarification. Any further discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Gustafson.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll move the council approve the proposed 3-year agreement with the Swan City Hockey Association, operating as the Grand Prairie Storm Hockey Club, for the use of the Crystal Center, retroactive September 1st, 2011, and ending August 31st, 2014.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Questions or comments? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Thanks very much. Councillor Gustafson, I think you had one more item of business.
Yes, thank you. I'll move that council approve the agreement with the Hockey Legends of Grand Prairie to name the third-level lounge of the Coca-Cola Center the Hockey Legends Lounge.
Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing nobody in the queue, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Gustafson, was there anything else that you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
Yes, just briefly, I want to talk about the third-level lounge sponsorship. The initial concept of the project was spawned in 2003 by Don Moon, business manager of the Grand Prairie Storm, and John Lainers, co-chair of the special events for the 2004 Royal Bank Cup. They discussed the merit of identifying and acknowledging individuals who have contributed to the development of the game in Grand Prairie and elsewhere. They recommended launching a Hockey Legends project with the first group of inductees recognized in conjunction with the Royal Bank Cup Junior Hockey Tournament hosted by the Grand Prairie Storm in 2004. Since 2004, Johnny McDonald has been inducted to the Hockey Legends. Leo Auger, thank you. Roy Peterson, Charlie Turner, Gary Edmonston, Pete Wright, Roy Borstad, Ken Head, Max Henning, Bob Neufeld, Marv Bird, Johnny McMillan, Jim Patterson, Ken Solheim, Fran Turner, former Mayor Oscar Blais, Marge McCausland, Terry Bangan, Doug Rigler, Gallon Head, and Grant Menzies. So this is a very elite group of people that we're very proud to have in our community, and I'm very proud to be part of the Legends. Not that I am a legend, but
In your own right.
in my own world.
Exactly.
And,
Everybody
that's-
had the same answer to that, didn't they?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. So we would move on to our additional agenda items. And first, we had item 9.6.1, 102nd Street remediation. And Councillor Crokin, I believe you're going to handle that one for us.
Thanks, Mayor Gibbon. I move council approve the slope repair work in the amount of $220,732.50 as part of Nelson Rock Products Limited scope of work for the 102nd Street roadway construction. And speaking of this, the question was asked, where is the money coming from? And it was answered that it's coming from the 2011 road rehab program. There's still money left in that program, so that's where it'll be funded from.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate, questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. And thank you. That motion carries, and that would bring us to item 9.7.1, Policy 201. Councillor Rice.
I would move that council approve revised policy 201, recreation fees and charges, as per attachment A, effective January 1, 2012 through December 31, 2014. This outlines the various fees for our recreation facilities, swimming pools, skating rinks, fitness centers, so on.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. And of particular interest at this time at council is the drop-in rates and user rates for the multiplex. The majority of this policy was previously approved by council, and it was just those rates that were left to be approved. And so this lays out everything for the drop-in rates at the multiplex to pool, youth and adult user group rentals. And I think it's important to note that the rentals at the multiplex are based on a per lane rental of the swimming pools. And so oftentimes I know that I've considered the multiplex to be 4 times larger than the current leisure center in terms of space, which it is. But I had a little bit of a difficult time grasping how that translates to a per lane rental for a user group. And after working through it with administration, is my understanding that essentially the rate is very comparable to what user groups were seeing at the leisure center, and depending on your math, perhaps even a little bit less expensive. So I think it's fantastic news that our community will have access to more space at essentially the same price for our user groups. Okay. Any questions or comments, discussion or debate on policy 201? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. And Councillor Rice, I believe you were going to do
I do.
9.7.2.
I move council approve the Aquatics and Wellness Multiplex membership annual pass as follows. Tiny Tots under 3 free. Child $390. Youth $585. Adult $799. Senior $585. Family $1,677. And further, we authorize the city manager to set special promotions and discount rates.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Rice. So just to speak to that last balance of the motion, Councillor Rice, in authorizing the city manager to make those discounts, essentially council is setting what the maximum rate would be. We know that right now, for 2011, the rates which were previously approved, administration is offering some discounts of up to 20% off a membership until the end of the month, and then 10% off up until the end of the year. And so what we'd be doing here is setting those maximum amounts and still leaving administration the flexibility to be able to make any special promotions as they see fit throughout the course of the year for marketing purposes. So I'll open for discussion or debate. Councillor Wong.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I'm going to speak in opposition to this motion. I've been speaking to a lot of residents of the city who feel that the membership rates are a little too high for them to be able to handle. And I'd like to see this facility be accessible to as many people as possible. I also believe personally that that when we set our membership rates, it should be based on either some kind of a reasonable formula or some kind of a principle. Administration has been following a formula at the Leisure Center that's been used for many years, so you can't really fault them for their calculation here. But I don't believe that with the multiplex, with the drop-in rates climbing as high as they have, that the formula is applicable anymore. Now, the drop-in rates have increased because they are comparable to everything across the province. Staff did a report where they compared our multiplex to about 9 other places across the province, and our drop-in rates are really, really close. However, our membership rates seem to be quite a bit higher than everyone else's. And the principle that I like to use when I'm considering buying a membership is the number of visits I would pay to that facility in order to balance off, or the number of drop-ins I would pay to balance off a membership. So in the case for all the other facilities, they average between 4 and 5 visits per month paying a drop-in fee. Our multiplex, if you look at I'll just use any of the numbers because all the factors work out the same, but for an adult who has to pay $10.25 to drop into the facility, would have to visit the center 6.5 times to make their membership pay for them. Now, I don't feel that that's an appropriate number. On average, the facilities across Alberta were 4.5 visits. And the idea of keeping that low makes it not only affordable for people, but it really attracts them to buy that long-term membership, which is something I believe we really want. I also believe in the whole principle of supply and demand. So when you raise the price, like we have, which we've raised it from the leisure center to the multiplex, because that will be the only public facility that the city will have to offer. If you raise the prices, you're going to sell fewer memberships. And if you lower the prices, you're going to sell more memberships. That's just a basic concept. It's not a linear relationship, I realize that, and we have to take a few educated guesses when we do something like that. I believe, though, that the factor that we use should be no more than 5 visits per month. And at 6.5, which is way above the average, it puts us almost 40% higher than every other facility out there. So as we go forward, I would like to propose amending that to use a factor of 4.8 or something like that. 4.8 is really close to the average. And that would at least put us in the right range for that type of industry. And I'll wait to hear what other council members have to say before making an amendment.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Councillor McLean?
I'm in favor as well as Councillor Wong. I had a look at a lot of the membership. I had a lot of the community come towards me on this issue. This was the #1 issue, was the price of membership for single individuals and for family individuals. There's a racial difference of how many children go or how they do this, 2 kids, 3 kids. But I found that most of our family membership, if it was to go through at 1677, was 25 to 30% higher. I probably looked at a few different things, Councillor Wong, and I came out at somewhere around 1258.75 for a cap, but top level. But I think Councillor Wong has hit it right on the mark. We need to have this more accessible for our community and more people buying membership passes and getting a lot of people come to the multiplex.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Any further discussion or debate on Councillor Rice's motion? Nobody has posted an amendment yet, so we're still on a round of discussion and debate on the original motion. I don't see anybody else ringing in before Councillor Wong, who I imagine is going to propose an amendment. Councillor Monroe, did you want to have discussion debate on the original motion?
Sorry, are we still in debate? I just wanted to make a couple
Yep.
comments.
Yeah, sure. So,
I'll cancel.
Discussion and debate. Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Discussion and debate on the original motion as tabled. Councillor Monroe.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I certainly appreciate what Councillor Wong is saying, and I do support an amendment of that sort. However, when we're talking about what type of rate to adjust it to, you're indicating a rate of 4.8 visits per month. I think that we need to keep in mind that this is a newer facility, and it does have a few other options that the other facilities do not have, such as the free rider, and it's the only one that's coming to mind right now, but I know that there's the squash courts. Thank you, Councillor Radburn. So I think we need to factor that in as well. I do feel that our rates are definitely a little bit high right now. I would suggest that if you are going to make a motion like that, Councillor Wong, that perhaps you take that into account and maybe look at something that's around the range of the 5 to 5.25 visits per month. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Monroe. Councillor Crokin.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I'm not going to get into the 4.5s or 3.2s or whatever, but I know what we're going to do with this facility. It's a beautiful facility, and we want to promote a healthy community, and we want it open like to all the masses, to everybody. It has the capacity, and I want to see it open, and I want to see it, well, I guess reasonable for everybody to access this facility. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Councillor Wong.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. So I'm going to try an amendment to the motion, and we'll see how that goes. I'll amend the motion with just the rates. I am using a factor of 4.8, which will change the prices from, or to $288 per year for children, $432 per year for youth and seniors, $590.40 for adults, and $1,238.40 for families. And in speaking to my motion, I believe that we should be looking at volume usage rather than trying to bring our prices up and trying to compensate our revenue that way. In terms of other amenities in this facility versus other ones, none of them are the same. There's features in other multiplexes that we don't have, and there's features in our multiplex that other people don't have. I believe that when a city or a council decides to build a facility like this, they tailor it to the needs of the community. And that's what each one of these facilities has done. Ours just happens to be the newest one open now. Every one of these was the newest one of its time. Terwilliger Rec Center just opened up in January, for example, and Edmonton is planning to build 6 or 7 more centers exactly like it because it is extremely successful. But they built their success on making sure that the prices were accessible to everyone. The other part of the motion that I would like to change, I just remembered, is an additional charge for families that have more than 3 children in their family. I believe that there should be an additional charge. It is, when you look at the costs of staffing a facility like this, the children cost more than the adults. We know that. We charge the adults more because they're able to pay more. But when you think about it, a young child and an adult, when you look at the amount of care that's required for each of those people, the child does require more. And by capturing families of 3 or less, I think we're going to be covering almost all the families. And then families that have more than that, they should, I believe that it's good business practice to charge for the additional child, and I won't stipulate a price on that. I'll leave it up to the city manager and as part of that motion to develop a special price for additional children.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. So the Intergovernmental Services Director, I wonder, just for clarity, if you could read back what Councillor Wong's motion would be, the effect of Councillor Wong's motion.
Moved by Councillor Wong, the motion be amended as follows. Tiny Tots, 3 and under 3 free, child $288, youth $432, adult $590.40, senior $432, family $1,234, and an additional charge per child for families of more than 3 children as determined by the city manager.
Councillor Wong, does that
It was
reflect what you're doing?
$1,238.40. It's a factor of 4.8 across the board, multiplied by the drop-in rate.
Okay, thanks very much. And so So we have that corrected to $1238.40 for family membership. Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. So that motion is in order, and I'll call for discussion and debate on the amendment. So this is to the amendment that Councillor Wong just made. Councillor Gustafson?
Thank you, Mayor Given. Could I be able to, could we split those up, the money part and the kid part?
Yeah, certainly we can split the motion as we see fit, and so if we want to have the rates as one portion and the additional charge for, or number of children, essentially what we're talking about is number of children included in a family membership, and certainly we can split that motion, and we'll vote on those separately. Okay, so discussion or debate to the amendment. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Given. Councillor Wong, I believe with the minutes, hit it right on the dot. The number speaks for itself for different facilities, and I'm not going to argue with an engineer on math. He was 20 bucks shyer than me, so I think I'm leaning towards Councillor Wong's amendment.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Councillor Rice?
We have been selling memberships. We have an excessive.
Councillor Rice, could you turn on your microphone? Sorry, somebody in
Oh.
the queue took themselves out and turned off your microphone.
It was lit here, sorry. We've been selling memberships. We've sold in excess of 200 of them. I guess I would be concerned if we now start selling memberships cheaper than those we've sold at the discounted rate, and I can't speak against the motion.
You can speak against the motion to amend.
Oh, okay. I guess I think we've been selling them for what, 13.42. I would urge council. I think it's going to be a nightmare in terms of refunds or whatever if you go below 13.42.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Councillor Crokin?
Thanks, Mayor Given. This doesn't preclude our staff right now from looking at this after this amendment, one way or the other?
What we're doing today is setting the maximum rate for membership fees. And in the motion included is Councillor Rice's original motion, which the amendment doesn't change. Administration essentially has the ability to offer promotions or discounts as they see fit in terms of marketing the facility.
Okay,
So
thank
what
you.
we're doing is setting the maximum amount, and it's up to administration on how they choose to discount from there.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Further discussion or debate on the motion, or the motion to amend? See, Councillor Wong?
I'd just like to close on that motion to amend.
Sure. Actually, Councillor Wong, I'll let you do that, but I would like to jump into the discussion if I could, if Council would be willing. I'm going to vote in opposition to the amendment. My challenge is that, as Council well knows, our drop-in fees for all of our facilities are significantly lower than those across the province. We've laid it out so that we would be catching up over a number of years to where we're at about the same level. The factor that administration used is based on that low number, and so we're already low and we're using a lower factor. I'm concerned about the amount of revenue essentially that's going to generate. We know that the expense of running the multiplex is in excess of $9 million a year, and I guess I do understand that a lower rate will encourage more memberships to be sold, but my concern is that I don't know exactly how it's going to turn out, and anything that isn't recovered through sales and the profit in memberships or fees from the users will be borne by the general taxpayers of the City of Grand Prairie. And so I'm very, very uncomfortable moving away from administration's recommendation. I believe that the 1677 that was in the original motion is the maximum upset amount. I believe administration's already shown that they're very comfortable in giving significant discounts for a variety of reasons. We've seen 20% discounts just to kick things off this year. Till the end of the year, there's going to be a 10% discount, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to see on a regular basis a 20% discount off that 77 for new users of the facility, and perhaps discounts for people who are new. So I think administration has all the flexibility that they need, but I believe that we have to set what the rack rate is, or the general market rate, at a reasonable level that ensures that we're also addressing the concerns of taxpayers. What we're talking about is the users of the facility, and we have to ensure that there's lots of users. But my concern is also for city taxpayers, and my concern is that if we lower that rate, basically lower the ceiling that administration has to work with, that we'll be forcing more onto the general tax base, and that's my concern, and that's why I would vote against this motion to amend. Thanks very much. And Councillor Wong, you wanted to close?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Given. I just wanted to address a few issues when closing. Administration could easily handle the overpayment by some of the people who purchased early by stretching their term for their memberships. And I'm sure that most people in the public would be fine with having a 14-month membership for the first year rather than a 12-month membership, or whatever it works out to be. When I use the factor 4.8 for visits per month, that I used it because it fell within the range that every other facility in Alberta was using for a multiplier. When you look at the prices of our drop in prices versus the average across the province, we're within 10%. We are a little bit on the low side, but we are within 10% in most cases, with the exception of the family pass. Most other facilities recognize that families should be charged a little bit more than what we're charging. But when you look at our memberships are about 35 to 40% higher than the average. So that tells me that there's something really out of whack in that factor that was used. I believe that there's two ways to make up revenue. You either make it up by selling more memberships, or you raise your price and you sell fewer memberships. There's no guarantee that at the prices that are set that we're going to hit the targets that are projected. And I have a strong feeling that we won't even come close. And that's why I would rather see us drop the price and get more people in the beginning. Next year, if we build up a decent enough base and we need to make an extra 10%, when you raise the price 10%, it's chances are you're going to keep all of those members. If you start low and you start with a lower, or if you start with a lower base and you try to decrease it down the road, you're starting with a smaller number of people. So you're going to have to wait quite a bit longer to build that membership base back up again. I'm not sure if I'm making a lot of sense here, but I believe that, in terms of whether or not the taxpayer is going to pay more, there's risk both ways. And if there is going to be risk both ways, I'd rather err on the side of being more affordable and more accessible to all of our Grand Prairie residents.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. So we'll close debate on the amendment. And so this is just on the first portion of the amendment on the financial figures, not related to the discussion of essentially how many people qualify in the family membership. We'll do that motion secondly. Okay, so this is the motion on the amendment. Jeanette, if you could read back those figures just so we have, everybody knows exactly what we're voting on.
Child, 288. Youth, 432. Adult, $590.40. Senior, 432. Family, $1,238.40.
Okay, thanks very much, Jeanette. Okay, so we'll call the vote on the amendment on those yearly membership fees. I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion fails. So we would be back to the original motion. Sorry, excuse me. So that first portion of the amendment fails, which would bring us to the second portion of the amendment on the number of people that are included in a family membership. And Councillor Wong's motion proposed that a city family membership would include up to 3 children. Is that correct, Jeanette?
Mm-hmm. Motion reads, moved by Councillor Wong, the motion be amended to add, and an additional charge per child for families of more than 3 children as determined by the city manager.
Okay, thanks very much. And so, so this is the second amendment that's proposed. So we'll have discussion or debate on this second portion. See Councillor Wong?
No.
Okay, then we'll move on to Councillor Gustafson. You're on.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I'm going to vote in opposition of Councillor Wong's motion for the more than three kids in your family. I don't think it's fair that we penalize families that only have one child. I also believe that there's not a lot of people with a lot of kids nowadays like there used to be in the good old days for that reason I'm going to vote against the motion.
Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. Anyone else that wanted to get on the queue? Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I will also be, given the defeat of the initial amendment, and actually on principle, I certainly think that the administration was suggesting that not be determined by the number of children you have, and I'm comfortable with that both on principle and on practicality. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Radburn. Councillor Crokin?
Thanks, Mayor Given. I'm not a statistician, but I do believe the average family about in the 60s was 4, and now it's 1.6. So that'll fit in with the 4.2 and the 3.6s and whatever other divisions we're having. So I won't be supporting it either.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Any further discussion or debate on this portion of the amendment? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion also fails. So we're back to the original motion as proposed by Councillor Rice. And I see Councillor Gustafson in the queue.
I'd like to try another amendment if I could here. I'd like to leave the drop-in rates the same. I'll move that we leave the drop.
All of the discussion today has been on yearly membership rates. So the drop-in rates were in policy 201, which we posted. So we're only talking about yearly membership rates.
So I'll move that we make the annual rate the 20% less than 20% that we've been selling them for to date.
Okay. So Councillor Gustafson, if I understand your motion, that would see children at $312, youth at $468, adult at $639, seniors at $468, and families at $1,342. Okay. 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 Thanks for it. Was that the balance of your motion, Councillor Gustafson?
That's it.
Okay. Thanks very much. So open for discussion and debate on Councillor Gustafson's motion. Councillor Munro.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll be voting in favor of this motion. I think that this is a rate that is, I believe, a little bit more appealing to me. And I think we also avoid the issues that we would have with the memberships that have already been sold, as Councillor Rice alluded to earlier. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Munro. Councillor Wong.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll also speak in favor of this motion. I believe that some discounting of the rates that were already set needs to be done in order to put us more in line for affordability. I still feel that it's below a certain tipping point, but I would rather see a lower fee than a higher one. So by default, I'll vote in favor of this motion to amend.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would like to see the 1238.40 or 1240, what it was, but 1342, it's lower, and then it could also be 20% reduction after that. That's the max. So I think it's a positive step forward, and I'll be supporting this Councillor Gustafson's amendment.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Councillor Munro, do I see you in the queue again? Yeah.
Thanks, Mayor Given. Just for clarification, when we approve this, does the original motion with the further 20% still apply then? Is that correct?
The original motion didn't specify %. It just gave administration the flexibility to have specials or make discounts as appropriate for marketing.
And that will still apply
And
with this
administration
amendment
will
as
still
well?
have that flexibility.
And I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Munro. Any further discussion or debate on the motion? I'll I'll take an opportunity then, if it's okay. I still believe that we provide good value at the originally proposed rates. I believe that there would be an opportunity for everybody, particularly first-time users, to get in at this rate that we're now proposing as the new sort of ceiling. But having said that, I believe that the will of council is really to look for some sort of balance here. So I think I'll be voting to support the motion. I do have a concern about how this is going to work out in terms of property taxes versus user fees. And I think as council, we need to recognize that administration is going to need to go away and crunch the numbers. I hope that we understand, I hope that in the end that this turns out to encourage more membership sales, which would be a positive impact, as Councillor Wong stated before. But I think we need to recognize that that may or may not happen, and that's the challenge and the risk that we take with a motion like this. Councillor Crokin?
Thank you, Mayor Given. Is there a term definite on that? Is that just to the end of the year, or is that so for the 3-year?
Councillor Crokin, at this point, I believe we're setting them for the 2012 year.
Okay.
Well, sorry, excuse me. At this point, council's motion is to set this as the multiplex membership fees. If administration wishes to change them, to increase them or anything, they would have to come back to council for any change.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Radburn?
The base fee, is that correct, Mayor Given?
Yes.
They still have the flexibility to do discounting relative to the market demand, et cetera?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Discounting, I think Councillor Crokin's point was to future increases, or, you know,
Right.
is there an escalation clause or anything, and there isn't.
They would have to come back.
If administration wishes to increase this in future budget years, then they'd have to come back to council.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries with 1 opposed. Okay.
Main motion as amended.
So now, thank you, that we're on to an amendment there, and so we're back on to the main motion, Councillor Rice's main motion as amended. And so that motion now reflects yearly membership fees of $312 for children, $468 for youth, $639 for adults, $468 for seniors, and $1,342 for families. And administration is, the city manager still has the latitude to authorize special promotions and discounts as administration sees fit. So that's the entirety of the motion. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Thank you very much. I believe that was all of the business from our additional agenda items. And we would move on then to items of correspondence, of which we had none. Delegation business, no, there were no delegations tonight. And we'll move on to notice of motion, which we have none, and council member reports. Were there any council members that had reports from their agencies, boards, or commissions? We'll start from my left here with Councillor Crokin.
Thanks, Mayor Given. On Wednesday, I'll be attending the Prairie Gallery Society's quarterly Board of Directors meeting. The gallery's main activity now is to prepare for the completion of the construction project in the spring by raising funds, planning exhibitions, and preparing new programs. We're planning to have a new exhibition open in the Montrose Centre on November the 18th of this year. The gallery is closed until then due to construction, but its school programs and traveling exhibitions are continuing uninterrupted. The gallery again sends its thanks to us, the City of Grande Prairie, for the loan of space in Centre 2000 for their temporary offices. That's it.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin, for that update from the Prairie Gallery Board. Did I see Councillor Radburn, you had an update for us?
Thank you, Mayor.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Great. I'm reporting on the Special Management Committee meeting of the Grand Spirit Foundation. And as a part of that, I'm pleased to announce that we approved and ratified our new general manager and his contract. her contract. The new general manager of the Grand Spirit Foundation is Debbie Normington. She has worked with the Grand Spirit Foundation for 17 years, the last, I think, 10 as the Family Housing Program Manager. Her knowledge of the Grand Spirit Foundation, its operations and its staff, and her leadership fit of being collaborative in a family, promoting a collaborative family culture. I think were the 2 or 3 main, I guess, factors that we considered in making that decision. So we're looking forward to working with Debbie, and we wish Brian Hillaby all the best. He provided excellent service to the Grand Spirit Foundation for 8 years. He's off to Kelowna, but the board is excited about moving forward with Debbie. The other part, we did look at preliminary draft budget to bring to the board in November, so that's going to happen in November. It includes about a 3% increase in our $20 monthly rate increase, a 4% in municipal requisition, which is I think about a 25 cents per person, and a $20-some thousand from our surplus, so we can balance our budget for this 2012 year. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radford. Did anyone else on my left have any council boards and committees to update us on? Then I saw Councillor Wong on this side, I believe.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Given. On Thursday, October 13th, the Grand Prairie Regional Tourism Association had a board meeting. We wanted to wish farewell to Amelia Havorka, who was the executive director of the Tourism Association. She's had many years of service at GPRTA, over 10 years actually. She just recently assumed the role of general manager at the Podolin Inn, so we wish her congratulations. We are currently looking for a new executive director, and the job posting is up. I don't remember what the cutoff date for the applications are, but anyone who is interested, please contact the Grand Prairie Regional Tourism Association at Center 2000. The new ED will help the Tourism Association fulfill the new strategic plan which was adopted by the board. This is the first time this organization has developed a long-term strategic plan, so we're really excited to unveil it. The AGM is set for November 17th at 11:30 a.m. at Center 2000. At that time, the new strategic plan will be made available to everyone. Council will get a preview of that plan just as soon as it's typed up and ready to go, and I don't think that's going to take very long. The other thing that the board is doing is it's looking at expanding its membership. The board wants to expand the number of industry members that can sit on the Grand Prairie Regional Tourism Association board. So I think that's a fantastic thing. So anyone that's in a tourism-related industry that would like to have some kind of input in the direction of how Grand Prairie gets marketed for tourism, that's the opportunity. That's the opportunity there for you on November 17th. Show up to the AGM, let someone know that you're interested, and there will more than likely be an opportunity for you to get elected in as a board member. That meeting also concluded my 4 years on the board after we just approved our committee assignments for council. My 4 years is up. It was a pleasure to be a part of that association, and I was really happy to be a part of the changes that will chart a new course for Grand Prairie Regional Tourism.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. I would also like to just point out one other thing. We had a Multiplex Regional Resource Committee meeting earlier today. Planning is underway for our New Year's Eve gala at the Multiplex. I know there's been a media release on that already. I just wanted to let people know that this gala is a one-time event to celebrate the completion of the largest building project that Grand Prairie has ever undertaken. And in doing that, we wanted to launch it with a big boom. So we booked a really fantastic band and set up a fantastic meal for New Year's Eve. So those people who are looking for something to do, they can attend our Mardi Gras themed gala, which is going to be one of the premier events in Grand Prairie. It's going to be a fantastic night. Those people who are in the business community and our Chamber of Commerce mixers are going to see the first promotion of this, the first active promotion at the Chamber Small Business Week mixer, Thursday night at the multiplex.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. So if there were no other external boards and ABCs, agencies, boards, or commissions, then we go to council member roundtable reports, and we'll start with Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you, Mayor Given. On October 4th, I went to the launch of the GPS Vital Signs report. It was a very interesting report, a lot of good statistics that as councillors and business managers and business owners will be able to use. It took a long time to build this report, but it's very important information. On the 5th, 6th, and 7th, I attended in Edmonton the Recycle Council of Alberta Convention. Very interesting topics, very interesting guest speakers, and I was able to tour the Edmonton facility, a massive facility. On the 12th, I attended a Wapiti Corridor Recreational Area meeting out at the Wapiti Shooters Club. We spent about 4 hours discussing the futures of the area, and it was a very eye-opening experience for both parties. On the 13th, I attended the morning mixer at the Montrose Cultural Center. It was a Chamber of Commerce event. Both the library and the art gallery did some presentations. Very well attended, by the way. Today, I attended the National Waste Reduction Week, I guess a proclamation. And it was at the Eco Center, and some of the information that we seen on display equipment was the fluorescent light recycler. They take the fluorescent lights, they smash them up, take the mercury out of them, the gases, and the metal at recycle. Also, there was the plastics, the styrofoam machine. It's the only one in Canada, I understand. What was that name? Densifier. So just an example, they had 2 busloads of styrofoam, and they melted it down, intensified it to a pallet full. So it takes up a lot of fill out of the landfill. And also this morning, bright and early, we attended the proclamation by Mayor Bill Given and County Reeve Everett McDonald for Small Business Week at Center 2000. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. So, October 4th, Grand Prairie Vital Signs Report, sponsored, hosted by the Greater Grand Prairie and Area Community Foundation. Also that evening, I attended as a councillor and also as a board member and emceed the Striving for Excellence Dinner. Grand Prairie Public School District Education Foundation sponsors the event to recognize excellence of our students. I want to thank Mayor Given and wife Susan for attending, and Councillor Crokin and wife Elaine for attending. Appreciate that very much. October 6th, Grand Prairie Residential Society, 25th anniversary. October 7th, I traveled to the thriving metropolis of Wabasca. I represented Mayor Given and Council at the Northern Alberta Elected Leaders meeting. We talked about seniors transportation regionally, looked at a North Peace Youth Support Association report that looked at future directions, and the Slave Lake disaster and recovery. We had both the MD of Slave Lake and Slave Lake mayors, Reeve, and they shared their story, a very compelling and emotional story that they told. And then we had a round table where everybody was able to share what was happening in their municipality. So it was a pleasure to go up and be a part of that forum. October 14th, Peace Library System checks and tender openings here. On the 15th, last Saturday, I attended the Friends of the Grand Spirit Foundation dinner entertainment fundraiser. I'd recommend it in the future to others. It's a $25 ticket, which you don't see too often. You get a meal and you get entertainment. This was a comedian unicycle juggler guy, and they had silent auction and toonie auction and 50-50. So the money that was made in those fundraising activities. And October 17th, I attended the Small Business Week proclamation and the National Waste Reduction Week proclamation. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radford. Councillor Gustafson.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Aside from my regular scheduled duties, I attended this past weekend the Scarecrow Festival way out of town at the 5 Mile Hall. It was a great event. I congratulate Rotary House and Sandra Impey's organizing committee for putting on a great event. And I'm sure the rest of you have all received emails from local taxpayers and residents who want to keep the Leisure Centre open. And as we've had much discussion tonight about the Leisure Centre, I'm sad to say we will be closing it for at least a year with a $5 million bill to repair that and bring it back up to local today's standards. It's going to be investment that I think we have to continue on with in the future. And it's something that I also think we need to recognize as we close the Leisure Centre. I hope we're having some sort of closing celebration, because it's been a long time and a lot of people, probably lots of famous people, have swam in that pool. And but on that same note, I look forward to closing it and getting into the new facility. That's all. Thank you, Mayor Given.
Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. Councillor Crokin.
Thanks, Mayor Given. On October the 4th, I did attend also the Grand Prairie Public School Thrive for Excellence Awards and dinner. And I must say that Lauren underscored himself, Councillor Radford. He did a great job. The Honorable Donald S. Ethel was there, and he has more initials behind his name than Lauren has, but he's shy a few of the alphabet, but he was a great speaker, our Honorable Donald Ethel. And the kids, there was over 100 of them, were thrilled to get a picture taken with him. On the 7th, I opened a tender. On the 13th, I attended the Chamber breakfast meeting. And everybody's wearing these T-shirts with I Geek something or other on it. So mine was I Geek breakfast, so that's, I guess, why I was there. And then, of course, today I attended also the National Waste Reduction at the Eco Center to see the bulb crusher, and the styrofoam in action, making these ingots out of styrofoam. It's unbelievable how they can do that. So that was it, Mayor Bill.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Councillor Monroe.
Thanks, Mayor Given. October 3rd and 4th, I was sat on the Composite Assessment Review Board, where we reviewed 5 tax roll appeals. October 5 through 7, I was with Councillor O'Toole and Michelle Gardner and Amy from Aquaterra at our Recycling Means Business Conference, and I as well toured the Edmonton Waste Facility. I understand it was $90 million to construct this facility, or that they're reinvesting into it. And of course, there's various speakers and new initiatives that were brought forward at the conference. October 13th, had a meeting with some local auto wreckers, tow companies, and salvage yards to discuss the issue of abandoned vehicles and what kind of solutions we can perhaps come up to address that in the city. On the 14th, I was at GPRC to watch our local member of parliament, Chris Workington, do a presentation for $1.1 million to the Bee Diagnostic Center out in Beaver Lodge. The college is quite excited about that, and good luck to the project. This morning, Center 2000 for the Chamber of Commerce Small Business Week proclamation. I was also at the Aquaterra Eco Center for the National Waste Reduction proclamation, and I didn't attend the Scarecrow Festival like Councillor Gustafson, but I did buy a scarecrow. That's it. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Councillor Monroe. Councillor Rice.
I attended the Safety Cities celebration barbecue, where they presented their report card, and the report card for Safe Cities evaluates leadership, priority setting, sustainability, and community engagement as being the successful attributes of Canadian safe communities. Of the 61 designated safe communities across Canada, the Grand Prairie and Area Safe Communities is one of only 10 to achieve a perfect 2020 score. So I think that congratulations to their board of directors. I think they do a great job there. If you haven't been over, you should go take a look. The little buildings are going in daily. They add another one. The big red barn that the county put in there is a welcome addition. So yeah, Safe Cities is really coming along nicely. I attended Refresh, the Small Business Week kickoff this morning. Congratulations to all of those named. As finalists, of course, there's a luncheon on Wednesday for women in business, and on Friday it's a banquet, and where one of those winners will be chosen in discussion there. I understand they had just a ton of excellent nominations this year, so they're very, very pleased about that. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Councillor Monroe on his appointment to the AUMA Sustainability and Environment Committee. Of course, we're all very concerned about sustainability, and also that committee will be looking at water allocations, as water, I believe, is going to be huge in our future, making decisions about that. So an awesome responsibility. Oh, did I forget to tell you that? So again, congratulations to him for that appointment.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Councillor Wong?
Thank you, Mayor Given. Just to let everyone know, the Grand Prairie Regional Tourism Association job posting for Executive Director deadline is October 28th. City Manager was able to look up that information for me. Thank you very much. On Tuesday, October 4th, I brought greetings to the Sisters in Spirit Candlelight Vigil for the Circle of Aboriginal Students. On Thursday, October 6th, I was present at the open houses for both the land use bylaw and the annexation open house at Muskosipi Park. On October 6th and the 13th, I was present at two of the Wapiti Corridor Planning Society meetings. We're getting very close to drafting a multi-use plan, or having that draft ready. We're planning one more full-day working session before we can have our first public viewing. So it's really coming together great, and the public can expect to see a draft of this well before the end of this year. On Monday, October 17th, I was at the Small Business Week proclamation at Centre 2000, also the National Waste Reduction Week proclamation at the Eco Centre. Then I had a meeting with the city manager, or one of our quarterly reviews of things that we feel, the operational things that we feel are important, yet not important enough that they need to have their own special section in one of our regular agendas. So it's really nice to follow up with those kind of items on a personal basis and make sure that nothing gets, or nothing falls between the cracks. And finally, I do want to report on the Policy Review Committee, because this is one committee where the Intergovernmental Services Director is the chair, so she'll never get a chance to report on this. I thought it was a fantastic meeting. We reviewed the concept of 311, which is a municipal information services line. Our communications manager, he presented a report on what a 311 service would be like for our city. I think the recommendation was that we're not quite ready yet. It's a little bit too big for, the system would be too big for our city to handle. We don't have the resources to really enact something like that, but we did find an opportunity there to improve our communication with the public. So I believe it was Mayor Gibbons' motion to have administration just look for ways to improve external communications, come up with that as a recommendation, and then that'll get reported at a future meeting. So I thought that, something good came out of a report where, we were pretty excited that this 311 thing could be a reality, but it's still a little bit out of reach for us, and we still have a little bit of work to do internally before we be ready for a system like that.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Given. On October 4th, I attended the Grand Prairie Vital Signs release, and a lot that I take from this was our area was one of the tops in obesity. It was around 27%, and I commend council tonight on voting for the multiplex where a lot more people can afford to go to it. And as well, when it's 30 below in north, you can actually go and walk and not just stay in your house, because we do have a big walk trail in there, and we took a big step forward tonight. As well, on October 5th, I had my regular meeting with Greg, or quarterly or whatever, and it's good to meet with Greg. He's a very good city manager, and just to get the ins and outs, every councillor hears from different groups in the community about what's happening in the community and their concerns, and it's good to meet with the city manager. On October 9th, I met at the Margaret Edison Manor for the 25th anniversary of the Grand Prairie Residential Society. And I believe the building is full. There's a couple of units that are empty, maybe to renovations, so they're almost at their max now. As well, on October 9th, I attended the annexation open house with my wife and my 2 children and at Mississippi Park. And the comments were very, very positive. And if you would have read the paper, there was one comment, but most were very positive, and a lot of people looking forward to the annexation process. On October 12th, I attended a special council meeting for QP contract, and it's all done. It's been in the paper. It looks good. And October 17th, I'll have to say what Councillor Wong said about the Multiplex Regional Committee meeting, the Mardi Gras for New Year's Eve celebration. Is the biggest building the city's undertaken, $110 million. And I hope that corporations and everybody out there will get involved and come to this event and and just celebrate what we've accomplished this council and previous.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. And Councillor O'Toole, you said you had one item that you'd missed.
Yeah, I got one item. If you're going to be in the Prairie Mall on Saturday, the library's got something quite unique. I can't give out too much out of the bag, but about 20 to 12, it'll be something that's never happened in Grand Prairie. It'll only last about 5 minutes, but it'll be quite amazing. So,
Wow. Wow.
no, it's
What
not a bank
teaser.
robbery.
What a teaser. Okay, thanks very much. So 20 to 12 on Saturday at the Prairie Mall. Okay, thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. A number of the items that I attended have been reported on by council, so I won't go over any of them in any great detail. On Tuesday the 4th, I attended at the launch of the Vital Signs report. Also on the 4th, I attended at the Public School Board's Education Foundation Striving for Excellence dinner, and I really want to commend the Public School Board Education Foundation for recognizing those students across our city from all public schools who've really achieved excellence in their school work. I know that there are a number of proud parents, but more than that, a number of proud kids who are happy to be there and be recognized. On the 5th, I attended an annexation open house, and on the 6th, I was also at the Residential Society's, Grand Prairie Residential Society's 25-year celebration. Of note, the Residential Society was also cutting the ribbon to their first ever, in 25 years, permanent office. So there was a space that was vacated by the Grand Spirit Foundation in Margaret Edson Manor, and with the help of a provincial grant, I believe, a spinal cord grant, they were able to renovate it so that the Grand Prairie Residential Society actually has an office space, and they also turned it into a multi-purpose room for residents at Margaret Edson Manor. So congratulations to the Society on 25 years of success and building up from duplexes to sixplexes and finally Margaret Edson Manor, which really provides an increased quality of life for folks with disabilities and enables them to remain in their community in northern Alberta, where before the existence of the Residential Society, if you wanted to have any quality of life, you certainly couldn't be in Grand Prairie and do it. Later that day, I was at the multiplex for a brief informal ceremony to officially accept the keys from our contractor. The City of Grand Prairie now has ownership of the building after the contractors finished the majority of their work. And this is, of course, in the lead up to our public opening early in December. And later that day, I was at Custom Communications and Security, where I had the pleasure of making a draw on behalf of Big Brothers Big Sisters. I drew a name for a winner for a trip for two anywhere that WestJet flies. WestJet had donated that to Big Brothers Big Sisters and as a fundraiser for the organization, and so thanks very much to WestJet for supporting an organization in our community. And no, there were no, I'm not sure if I saw any council member names in the bucket, so oh, well, I think that just goes to show that I did it fair and honestly. I didn't see any of the names. On Wednesday the 12th, I attended with the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce in Edmonton to the Alberta Chambers of Commerce MP dinner. This is the second time that the Alberta Chambers have organized this event. It brought together about 14 MPs from Alberta, a couple from other provinces, and one senator. And it was an opportunity for representatives from across the province to discuss issues, federal issues that particularly related to the federal government. Some items of interest were 24-hour crossings on the southern part near Medicine Hat, as well as immigration and the temporary foreign worker program, which we know are important here. So one of the MPs that attended was Minister Jason Kenney, and so obviously the discussion about the temporary foreign worker and immigration were in his portfolio, and so he is able to speak to those. And on the 14th, I attended again at Margaret Edson Manor to participate in a panel discussion on accessibility issues. Also in attendance and on the panel were MP Chris Workington, MLA Wayne Drysdale, and a representative from MLA Mel Knight's office. A number of the residents and others had an opportunity to discuss with us their concerns around accessibility. A number of the issues related to provincial and federal programs and funding. Some again related to immigration of care and support workers, but there were a number of items that came up that were related to the city of Grand Prairie. Obviously, a lot of the issues that the city guides in terms of building and construction are actually governed by the Alberta Building Code, and so there's some learning, I think, for residents there. But there were a number of items that I think the city of Grand Prairie can address in the future. And then this morning, finally, I was at 70,000 for the launch of Small Business Week, and thanks very much for the Chamber of Commerce for organizing that and recognizing the importance of small business. I believe there will be a media release coming out tomorrow from the CFIB, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, that will announce that Grand Prairie is again for 2011 the top entrepreneurial city in Grand Prairie, or in Canada. So I think that's fantastic news, and obviously fantastic to celebrate it during Small Business Week. We recognize that small businesses are the engine of our local economy, and Grand Prairie's small businesses are first in the nation, and I think that's a great thing for our community. And then, as was mentioned, I was at the Eco Centre to proclaim National Waste Reduction, and I want to thank Aquaterra for all their efforts in helping our community reduce the amount of waste that goes into landfill. And also I want to thank Aquaterra for launching their neighborhood competition. And so I'd like to remind the public that over the coming weeks, participate in curbside recycling. Aquaterra will be measuring the volume, the weight of recycling that comes from each neighborhood, and the winning neighborhood that recycles the most will receive a neighborhood barbecue, as well as recognition of the most well, I'll call it environmentally friendly, but we'll say the best recycling neighborhood in Grand Prairie. And so I think that's an honor I think we'd all like to have. So I know I'm going to be making sure that I go through and find every recyclable thing in my house and make sure that they go out for the next few weeks. And if there wasn't anything else, I'll call our meeting adjourned. Thank you.